Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever in the world you're tuning into the HopEUm League of Legends podcast from. My name is Trevor Henry. You may know me as Quickshot. It has been a little while since I last saw your beautiful faces. I've had some big changes in my life, and I'll talk about those in just a few minutes. We are here today to break down what happened in week 2 of the LEC, discuss a little bit more broader topics like, is the LEC schedule actually good? Some teams have played one series, some teams have played half their season. What's going on? And of course, take a look at some of the topics from around the world. We're going to start by welcoming one of my very good friends, Skyyart, to the show. And Kitty will join us in literally a couple of minutes. Skyyart, how are you doing, my friend?
Hello. I'm very happy to hear you, bro. I was actually very happy to be here because of Kitty. So I'm really sad that my favorite host isn't here. No, I'm joking. How are you? No, you're the goat. Yes. Actually, I've traveled the world, come back from Korea. Was an intense schedule for the players and also for us. Actually, I really enjoyed. Do you hear me? Okay. Okay. And yeah, it was I really enjoyed spending all this time watching the games, but very recently the LEC just the day before I missed a bit. Yeah, sorry, I just have some issues on my stream. I guess
You're good.
uh
Okay, while you're fixing that,
sorry.
what I will do,
Sure.
you fix your stream, we'll say hello to Kitty and welcome her to the show. Kitty, hello, how are you doing? Do people know where you are right now? I haven't been on social media.
I hope the interface is working because on my end it looks a little bit sketchy. We got some different names going on. I hope we can fix that as soon as possible. But yeah, Trevor, thanks for introing me.
Yes. Okay, well listen, we've got the band back together again. We're working through some technical things. We'll dive
it's all good. It's all good.
You're good on your side. Kitty, are you good on your side?
I'm Kitty.
Yes, so I'm Quickshot apparently. So it's Freaky Friday, but it's actually Freaky Tuesday? Question mark? Might be Wednesday for some of you guys.
As far as the lower thirds, I can see I'm Quickshot, you're Kitty, yours kind of works on my side. So anyways,
okay.
Let's dial back. If everyone's streams are working and cameras are working, Kitty, first of all, how are you? How has your last 2 weeks been? And how was last week's show?
Hello. Yes, I was in charge of HopEUm last week because we all know Quickshot had something very important happen in his life. And I have been in the middle of a mini relocation to Europe. So it's my first time enjoying Berlin during the summer. And it was also my first time experiencing Paris during the summer. And it was really, really nice. Europe is truly really beautiful during the summer.
It really is. Look, Berlin winters suck. You've got to brace yourself. They're really dark, grey, and miserable. So they're tough. But summer's incredible.
No. In summer as well, it sucks.
We've had this argument. I love Berlin, but it's polarizing.
Can I say something?
Each to their own. Please don't ask permission.
As a foreigner, I've noticed in both France and Germany, the wasps here are crazy aggressive, by the way. They look like bees. They are very similar. They're a little bit more on the brighter yellow side and they don't have a fuzzy bum. But like they are constantly attacking you when you're eating outside, and you have to eat outside because there is no AC in Europe, which is a vibe in itself. But then getting aggressively attacked by wasps, which they can mess you up pretty badly if you like fuck with them, is really terrifying.
Welcome to Europe. Welcome to
I don't
Europe.
know what I'm supposed to do. I'm getting egoed off my food.
European.
1v1
knows this. That's it. Eventually, you just learn the wasp shoe. You very easily get rid of them. It's not too difficult. By the way, congratulations. I got to watch you doing live translations for EWC. I got to watch your TFT work and League. I thought you absolutely killed it, Kitty. And yes, as you mentioned, for the people who are watching the show, both on my stream and everyone else's, I'm a dad now. We've not shared the news publicly, but it's pretty obvious if anyone can do math that it was happening, and maybe why I wasn't here. So there'll be some photos and some social media posts in the not too distant future. But my son is happy and healthy, and I'm a very, very excited dad. I will say, being in the hospital and watching LEC did get me into a little bit of trouble. I'm not gonna lie. So
in what way?
My wife and newborn son were right next to me, and I'm on my phone watching LEC.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what process you were in. I thought you were in the waiting process.
No.
Trevor.
I thought it was because of SK against Giantix. Your son say, I don't want to live in this world.
Wait, the first thing you showed your son was SK's game? Oh, no.
I'm not going to lie. He didn't watch. We've got a strict no screens policy. So he was looking at my face, and I go into trouble.
Okay.
But let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about LEC. I know a little bit from Skyyart. He was talking about the games that he watched. And then Kitty, how many games did you catch up with? What is, which ones did you kind of like? What's your takeaway from week 2 of the LEC?
So I primarily watched the KC and G2 games. I was also very curious about how Vitality looked with their new mid laner Fiesta, and I've seen a lot of mixed opinions about this new guy, good and bad, of course. And something else that I was incredibly interested in was Fnatic's introduction to the tournament with their new top laner Saboro. So for the people back at home who don't know Saboro, he is a Korean top laner on the younger side, and he debuted on IG in the LPL, so a Chinese team, in the replacement of the Shy. So it's really big shoes to fill for like a youngling. And he definitely gave the Shy vibes. Like he had sort of subtle DNA here and there of the Shy's gameplay, but he didn't have that oomph behind him to actually carry the game 1v9, which is fair because it is a tier 1 region. LPL is arguably one of the harder regions to compete in. But I was surprised that he made the move over to Fnatic. And I think it's because mainly Saboro's playstyle did not say Fnatic to me. It didn't call for Fnatic. And he's now orange.
Whose does? No, like let's whose does? So, I was surprised by the roster move as well. I'm also surprised at how many games teams have played. I mean, Sky, did you catch the Fnatic series on the weekend? I imagine not.
Yeah. I watched a bit the highlights, and I think like 1 year and a half ago, they were playing with Oscarinin, so I think it's an upgrade. He actually played very well against Mirin. But yeah, maybe we didn't saw Mirin 1 is lane a lot of times already. I think, he carried one game. Yeah. But it was in Valorant, I believe. But I'm joking. Oh? I'm joking. I just think Mirin is a bit less good than Ilyoya, I would say. For me, at least, they might consider getting Saboro.
I mean, listen, I like the fact that in the first series that we've seen from Fnatic, bearing in mind, right, we're 2 weeks into the regular season of 7 weeks. Fnatic have played 1 best of. KC have played 5, so it's really weird in my head to kind of balance those two things. Yeah, I kind of like how Fnatic played. I kind of can't wait to talk to Bruce and be like,
Fnatic Glaze in 26.
I know. Listen, but look, the bar was set so low that I think when you look at how the game went against Koi, I expected it to be worse, and it wasn't. The fact that they're playing Team Heretics, I know this is going to come to them later, but I think Fnatic could start relatively well this season.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought Fnatic looked decent. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be hyping them up, right? It's one series. I need to see a lot more. I was disappointed in Na'Vi. I mean, Kitty and Sky, I've been on the Na'Vi hype train for most of the year. I think I'm selling my stock. I think even in the wins against Shifters and how they played against KC, there's still things I kind of like, but I'm seeing teams around them growing and getting better, and I'm not seeing the same from Na'Vi,
I think Navy played not that bad early on, but I mean they had player issue. I mean Rilesh dashing with Jarvan throwing the game, and I think Casey actually very fucking good in team. Very good in team
You're
fight.
good.
That's how much Casey impressed you.
Team fighting. Yeah. Very impressed. But I think Casey are very good in team fight, and the Syndra Victor combo that they are using every single game, basically, they are very good at it. And I think it's because you leave Cassio to Yehu, he's carrying. You leave Syndra to Yehu, he's carrying. Yehu is just so good. For me, he's just amazing.
I mean, I want to chime in because I feel like Yehu has become such a great player from the start. When he joined the LEC, people had a lot of doubts, thinking if he was going to be able to pull off something that Vladdy did for Casey back in 2025, where they did so well at first hand, etc. And I thought Yehu really grew into his role, and you can really see the personality and like what he brings to the table. And I think he is becoming quite the carry for KC, not just Kana these days, because I think Kana's always been very solid in the EC, but Yehu, I think in the current meta where it's mage dominated, is really good.
Yeah. I want to be a KC hater. I really do, but it's becoming harder and harder. Seeing the decisions that the team has made, seeing the roster moves, seeing the development and the growth, seeing the interviews, like I don't know if you caught the end of the show on Monday, but in PGL in the post-game lobby, they ran a replay of Yahoo in the final fight. And I don't want to spoil, like, you guys just go back to the VOD and just go right near the end and listen to it. He basically is just going, ooh, it's so endearing. Like, his play is impressive. His integration into the team, the way that Kaliste is talking about him, the performances that they had at EWC and throughout the rest of the year. Like, I really, really don't want to like KC, but they're making me like them, both with personality and with gameplay. Skyyart, I don't know what to do about that.
You have to join the train
the dark side.
Yes, I believe. I mean, we are a two-team region, I believe, for now, and it's amazing because I mean, Europe was a one-team region for a long time, so I think it's very, very, very good. And yeah, I think the vibe of Yehu is very positive. It brings a very good energy. I also want to point out that Kaliste adapt very well into the mage meta. I think before MSI and at MSI, Casey was looking a bit, I would say, unstable. And the draft wasn't that great, I believe, every time. But after in EWC and now, wow, they are very good. They lost only one game, and somehow when they are 5k behind, if it's against Koi, they will throw. I mean, I think Koi are very good at early game, and I think Elyoya is very, very good. But somehow, they always manage to throw. Supa is underperforming for me a lot. Mirin is better than before, but still, I mean, it was starting from here, maybe here. Yeah. And yes, I think Koi are very good at throwing, and KC are very good at bouncing back in late game with some, I would say, late game composition. And it's very cool to watch, I believe.
That reminds me. I mean, talking about early game, I wanted to mention G2's early game because I don't think their early game has been the cleanest. But we were talking to Brees and I believe Sendo last week, and they were already impressed that G2 started the third split of the year with a 2-1 start. Now they're currently 3-1 because they just won against SK. But that for a G2 fan / G2 co-streamer, G2 content creator, whatever, it's massive. They're not even or negative in scoreline. However, they still look shaky. So why is that?
Why is that? I don't know. And I'll tell you this, it's a great setup. We unfortunately don't have any G2 players today, but I am working on it. And hopefully we'll have some players to actually answer that question for next week going forward. I want to hear from the horse's mouth. I will say on both G2 and Koi, I have nerves about the end of the season and playoffs for two reasons, okay? Koi, I just think are going to get smashed. I think there's even a chance that Koi may not even make playoffs. There's a real chance. Like, if we end up seeing SK stepping up and doing well, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to regret this, if Fnatic actually play well, the way I saw them play against Koi, I don't see Koi maybe being able to, they're 2-3, right? So I get nervous. On the G2 side, starting stronger, and still looking messy. I want to see where it goes. They've also had a crazy schedule, right? It was an awesome series against KC in week 1. Like on that final game that went like nearly 50 minutes was awesome. They beat SK, sure, but like cleaning up the play. My stomach is just telling me that I'm nervous, but it's also weird because I've only seen like a handful of series from so many of the other teams, so it's hard to like gauge power, which I find a bit interesting.
I think G2 is still looking good, but the thing is, the momentum was for KC because in MSI it was very bad, and EWC, they nearly lost against Team Secret Wales, and if they did, people would have, flamed them a lot. They bounced back and they won, so it was actually very good for KC, but for G2, I think the momentum was a bit off, and I think they took some rest because like the schedule was very intense, but with the switch of Dylan Falco and Perks, I think they want to prove themselves. I think they did a very good draft in first game against SK, and SK they played pretty good. I mean, I believe when you play all year in 4v5, when you start to play 5v5, it's easier. So thanks to Leader for letting a 5v5 in the game.
Yeah, I saw this comment. They were like, maybe all SK needed was an actual mid laner going into the split, and they don't look so bad because they have a mid laner.
The English broadcast was saying that there's no black hole in the mid lane. I thought that was a harsh statement. Like, but hey, I get it. Listen,
I like it.
I'm hopeful. Skyyart, you and I go way back that Fnatic and SK used to be the top names in the league. I'd like to see them competing again. It would be good for me, but it's too early to say. Let's quickly talk about 2 or 3 other teams from like week 2. Now that we've seen every team, they've all played at least one series. Heretic, Shifters, Giant X. Man, what is gonna happen? Like, Kitty, what's your take on the 3 bottom of the table teams?
It's such a shame to think that Giant X are even at the bottom of the table when I was really hyped for GX going into 2025 because I personally really liked Noah and Jun on Fnatic when they were on Fnatic as that bowling duo. I thought they contributed a lot to all of Fnatic's wins and the clutch wins when Noah needed to step up. He showed up until it was internationals and he would flash into walls, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that for Noah. And I think Jun would also have his moments, but they definitely played really crucial roles on Fnatic. And I wanted Noah and Jun to prove Fnatic wrong, that they were the reason why Fnatic was doing well. And they did go to GX. They did look relatively consistent at the start of the year, and they were performing. But then their most recent series was so ugly. Like, was that the series that Medic crashed out on broadcast where he was like, I don't even know what this Nocturne's doing. Like, what is he ulting for? The Grom? So it was quite the series to stomach, but I don't know how much that contributes to just like player internal issue or mage adaptation in the bot lane, but something is just not going right for GX, and it pains me because I really like the GX bot lane.
Skyyart, what do you think?
I like June a lot. Actually, I enjoyed the game of GX a lot because it was for me vacation. But no, I'm joking. Actually, I like the button as well. I think June was very good. And but I didn't watch the game recently, so I can't have a judgment on it. But I think June was for me a good talent in support in Europe.
I mean, look, I want to do this. Let's move to our discussion portion of the show because we'll dive into some of these team performance and roster swaps and player things because I want to ask you a question, right? I want to take a look at the table, and my first discussion topic is going to be the LEC schedule. Common Core 5-0, right? Down at the bottom, Shifters and Heretics 0-2, Fnatic, GX 0-1. And when we look at the total amount of games, KC have finished more than half of their season series by week 2. There's so much more prep. They've gone undefeated already. I think it gives them...
lost one game, I think. They only lost one game.
One game. It gives them, in my opinion, maybe even an unfair advantage Because now for the rest of the weeks, with only one opponent a week, they get to sit down, they get to relax, they maybe get to take their foot off the gas, rest before playoffs. We've heard them talk about the Skyyart. Let's come to you first. What do you think about this imbalanced schedule?
I'm not sure it's an advantage though, because I think when you have deadlines, you work. I think people, when they don't have deadline, they work less, and I think being forced to play a lot in stage will make
the
you...
Skyyart
That was
call
awesome.
to action.
That's awesome. Let's go. Honestly,
Sorry.
kudos. Please don't apologize. That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm not sure it's an advantage, but I think it's because of the LEC Roadshow. It was actually an amazing event. I think it was very nice to see the best teams competing physically in France. I really enjoyed watching the game. It was very nice. But yeah, after this, obviously, I was a bit less interested by some games in LEC, because when you want to watch the games, you want to watch the best teams or the best games. And basically, when G2 plays against Heretics, it's okay, but it's not.
You can just say it's coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb. It's okay, Skyyart. I'll say it for you. Yeah, dying ants,
After EWC, after MSI, after playoff, I mean, some games are less important than others. And I think it was an amazing LEC Roadshow. But after, I think it wants to bring people back to LEC, but the schedule was a bit too much for me. What do you think?
I think the imbalance of games, since a lot of teams have to play catch up. Trevor already mentioned earlier that KC have played more than half or even more than half of their regular season games. They played it on patch 15, I believe. They're playing on live patch. That also means the teams that have to play catch up might have to play on a different patch going into, like, let's say patch 16 or something, which could have game-changing aspects where the game is completely different. I didn't think about that until just now, but that's 100% going to happen. And it's going to be, would you rather everyone have a fair, balanced chance on the same patch to prove who is the strongest on this patch? Or would you rather have nice road shows and have the hype, the live audience, the audience, like...
Why not both?
Why not both?
Why do I have to say... Look, I get it, right? I understand the logistics. I understand the financial implications of the road shows, and you want to have the local fans. Like, when KC are hosting, you're going to have KC in all 3 games. You want to have the biggest competition, the most exciting. Like, I get it. But you now have an uneven tournament format. Each of these teams plays 9 best of 3s, okay? And the fact that KC have played 5 best of 3s on one patch, on home turf, in their event, with their crowd behind them, and now the rest of the teams have to play their other 5, 6, 7, 8 best ofs on a different patch, in a different location. You're not playing the same tournament based on whether you're popular, whether your organization has the money to host an event, or whether or not you're trying hard enough to be invited to these things, right? So, like, I want both. I loved the roadshow. It was awesome. I was incredibly sad that I didn't get to take part in the classic show match. That's a different story for a different day, but it was beautiful to watch the old names and old colleagues, playing together. It was awesome that the final series was so incredible between KC and G2. But I just can't help ask the question, does KC benefit or get hurt by the fact that they played 5 of their 9 series already? Does Fnatic have an advantage because they get to watch 20 best ofs? And let's just live in the world that the coaches and the analysts, everybody can prep beforehand. There is a world you could make an argument that you could gain an advantage from that. I see you itching at the Skyyart.
I think you are totally agree, because with the EWC preparation, KC was so on point on the patch. Just like you said, Kitty, I think for KC it was amazing because G2 was a bit falling off in AWC, was not really great. But so I think playing the game was less an advantage than KC, but KC was looking amazing on that patch, and they had basically already that draft done, and it worked super well. So I think, yes, it was for sure an advantage for KC that they were amazingly good on this patch, which was very good. They will still be good on the other patch, but I think like Victor Bot, etc., was perfect for them. The meta was just perfect, and I think they adapt it very well.
I just wanted to chime in because all the 80 carries are verbally having a protest on social media about the current meta in bowling, which is primarily mages. I would argue it's lowered down a little bit. It used to be, I would argue, 80% mages, 20% ADC, and the 20 would be like Ezreal or Lucian or something like that.
Yeah.
But 80 carries have slowly gone back into the meta, and it's usually the 80 carries with dashes. However, Basil, she has had the joy of interviewing some of the LEC players since she is in Berlin, and she had an interview with Joppa after the most recent SK win, and she asked Joppa, would you rather go bold or play mages for the rest of your life? And I think Joppa's response was that he has a really bad head shape, so he doesn't want to go bold, so he'd rather play mages for the rest of his life, which is really unfortunate to admit.
What I love about that, he's thought about it. He has enough he has enough consideration, you know. I don't know if my head shape's good or not for going bold. I don't know. I don't know if it would bother me personally.
I'm convinced if you have a good enough head shape to rock the bold look, you'll look good in every single hairstyle. So please take your headsets off once in a while. We don't want to have no dents in our heads. This is just a PSA for all our viewers back at home. So
yeah, I'm definitely developing the helmet here with the headset now that I'm spending more time here.
But yeah, me too.
There's one other angle to this whole misaligned schedule. Kalist in the interview, who was the last game that they played on Monday, after they beat Heretics. Interesting series anyway that I think they should have won quicker. But Kalist actually had a conversation saying that there's a lot of LEC players that are unwell at the moment, that are either sick or you know, just very, very tired. He basically talks about the fact that you went from First Stand into Spring, into MSI, into EWC, into Paris road trip, and keep in mind that there was road trips already in Spring, right? The League of Legends players have had to travel more this year if you're a top performing European team than any previous year for a long time. And I think that's also an interesting thing to call out, is like, you now also have to deal with all these additional logistical things. Like back in the day, we used to be able to see a lot more road trips and a lot more travel. So the players had to get used to it. I think, I'm going to use this word, I think players have gotten soft and they just have to live in one house and go to one studio. They need to get used to these road trips. Skyyart, what do you think?
I think the training is now more intense than before. So I believe that it's a balance, you know. We complained that Europe don't play enough like last year. So now they play a lot. But I think it's always a matter of sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice that much, you can't be that competitive. And I think it's still a good thing for Europe, because Europe will be closer to the intensity than Korean do on the game. But still, I think it's not very healthy, I would say.
Kitty, what's your take? Because I also been watching one of the other regions.
Quoting Yahoo's Twitter right now, x.com, as the younglings say these days, Yai caught a virus and passed it to me, so now I'm feeling a bit under the weather, period. Mega fucking virus, Yike, angry emoji. And Yike responds with, yeah, bro, I told you not to kiss me, ... So, there seems to be some virus going on in Europe, so please take care of yourself. But I think the schedule is not benefiting anyone, because from a more international point of view, if you look at LPL and LCK, they are facing a lot of issues as well, because you assume Hanwha, they just won MSI, which is a very prestigious title to win. You would expect Hanwha to do just as good going into Split 3, but I'm sure Skyyart has a lot to say about Hanwha, as they're not the top dogs anymore. DK and KT are dominating the LCK in 2026. DK and KT are back. Like, what world are we living in right now?
Yeah, but I mean, we are living in a world into Kanavi try to invade when he has no prior mid, no prior bot. Kuma is at base, and he tried to 1v3 somehow, and it didn't work every single time. So I don't know. I think Kanavi is hinting the game so hard. He hinted the final in MSI as well. Yeah. I mean, he has a very high, but sometimes I think he go crazy. I think it's ready to over aggressive sometimes, and he need to calm down.
There's a saying.
He wants to prove himself too much. Chill.
If you don't love him, at his worst, then you don't deserve him at his best.
Yeah.
Okay? As a JDG fan from 2023, I've seen his highs.
So wait,
he's amazing, but
do you love him? Do you love him or hate him? I'm confused at your stance, Kitty. I know where Skyyart stands.
I will forever love 2023 JDG. That was the closest to a golden road that I've seen in the most recent in this century. Oh, sorry, in this decade. Sorry, not century. Century is a bit far. Century
really
will still
catch.
stay as G2.
Oh, really good catch. Really
Century
good.
will forever stay as G2, but decade
as you started
JDG.
that sentence, I got so mad.
I was for
at you.
T1.
I got so mad. No, G2 in 2019. What are you saying, T1?
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
No, I say against GDG. I was on T1 side for sure.
Okay.
All roads lead to Faker, and that's the infamous quote from 2023. Because JDG were 2 series away from completing the golden road back in the day.
Wasn't it all roads lead through Faker? Because you had to go through him to win.
I remember each word specifically of how scarred I am from that series. But yeah, back to Kanavi and Hanolife, because I mean, DK as a whole, ever since their drama of being 1 month behind in salary was exposed online, they've been locked in. Salary maker, you know? They've been winning everything.
They want to get paid for sure.
But what's your take on this? Because I was thinking about this, right? Like watching DK going into EWC, seeing what had happened, you know, to the teams that competed at MSI, and then it comes out that they're not being paid. And all of a sudden, DK then like kind of pop off at this tournament, which there was a lot of other things, like it was an interesting tournament to watch. There's a lot you can unpack, but my brain couldn't understand what that meant. And then you start looking at the tournament results, you start looking at the performance, like, is this a bigger ecosystem thing? Is this just a DK being a momentary thing? Like, I don't really understand how I would explain it, you know?
Maybe if you don't pay the players, they play better? What do you mean?
I think Scott's onto something, guys. I think we should start reducing player salary.
No salary,
we're not going to get in trouble, everyone. Just for the love of the game. Exactly, quick shot. Back in the day, do you think these players are getting paid playing League of Legends? No, bro. They were doing it for like an Asus keyboard or something, a Logitech keyboard, a Superstrike mouse, you know? They get the deliverable, no money.
Amazing.
You've got to go for the right one. Just for that Logitech G2 headset. Let's go. Okay, let's move on to the discussion around the world, because I want to get your guys' takes. As I mentioned already, I have been a little bit distracted with real life events this past week. So other than the LEC games, I don't know what is happening outside of my little bubble. So let's start. Skyyart, give me a little bit of an LCK rundown. What have you been seeing? What's your take on the league as we are kicking off summer?
It's I mean, the level of every team is very, very close. Every team has its strengths and their weakness. And I think it's very entertaining to watch because it's a legend group. So the top 5 is competing, and there will be only 4 slots in Worlds. And I think 5 or 6 teams could go to Worlds and do a lot of damage. So it's going to be very entertaining. I mean, is it DK? Is it KT? Is it T1? Is it Actually? Is it Genji? I think it's amazing to watch. I'm just very sad it's the last year of Kin. I think he deserves to stay for such a while. I don't know why he wasn't taken in Asian game, but it's another debate. And I mean, it's so cool because the level of Korea in France, at least, people have said that Korea is looking bad. I think Europe is looking better. I think Europe improved a lot. And I think also Fearless reduced the gap between the top teams and the competing teams, because basically if you do a not really good draft, you will be in very big trouble. And if you play Tristan against Corki like 5 games in a row, I mean, it's going to be very stable and there will not much variance because it's just execution. And I think you can cook more. And I think what I always loved about G2 is we are cooking a lot. I mean, in international event, we come with stuff. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. So I can't wait to see Worlds. I think the world is going to be amazing, to be honest.
Okay,
I'll go to Worlds in a second. Kitty, I don't know if I've just lost you or not.
Oh, I hope I'm still around. Here I am.
Just before, I want to pause on the performance of the regions. Give me an update. What regions are you watching at the moment? How well are they doing? And then I'm going to ask a question about who's better.
Yes, of course. I am currently still covering the LPL and LCP, so the Pacific and Chinese regions. And skill level, it's still quite dominated by BLG, but not the 5 people that you're used to on BLG. Because we all know that Bin has been benched, BB, been benched
Ah,
for BLG. And it's because of internal issues, and there seemed to be a lot of conflict between Bin and the other members. So he decided to
I
step
heard it was
away.
personal reasons. He stepped back. He was benched. He made the choice that he wanted to. He quit instead of being fired. Is that what that is?
He technically, okay, if you bench yourself, if you quit before they fire you, that's technically still, it's like the saying, it's like you didn't break up with me, I broke up with you. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
yes, I mean, not saying that they're salty or
Are you surprised that
upset each other
BLG
in
is
a
still doing as
relationship.
well as they are, though?
But yeah, the person replacing BLG, his name is Wenbo, which is really funny because Lord Drop. Jackie Love's government name, his Chinese government name is Yu Wenbo. So Wenbo. And this guy's name is Wenbo. So everyone's like, Jackie Love's going to BLG as the substitute talent. It was so funny. He
Funny.
has been a passenger. I don't think he's been super extravagant or extraordinary as a rookie. He slid into the team quite well. But the question is he 100% winner in the LPL because he is that good, or is it because his teammate is Shun, Knight, Viper, and On? So that's something that the Chinese fans are currently deciphering. And the other crazy news is Top Esports also unsurprisingly got a roster change. They changed their support back to Zhuo, and he used to be on Top Esports, I believe, in maybe 2022. So it's not a new pairing in the bot lane. I personally am a big fan of this new support because he, I think, has a lot of in-game initiative. And as a support player, you need to have a lot of game sense on knowing when you want to go in and knowing when to not do anything. I think is a quote from Mickey, I believe, or one of the older players in the League of Legends sphere. So I think he will bring that aspect to the team, especially when they do have Zui An, who is the rookie top laner. But I also want to bring this conversation back to Skyyart because there has been something connecting the two regions as of recent, and it's drama. Have you heard about the KT drama alongside the Bin drama? So what happened to KT, Skyyart? Tell us.
Yeah, Aiming got Chow. They were, I think it was Fincher playing, and I think it's gonna be Jiwoo very soon. I mean, he played pretty well, but yeah, I can't wait to see Jiwoo. I don't know why he was benched, but I think, I mean, Aiming is not very popular in France, at least. So I don't know actually if he's popular in Korea, but
Wait,
KT fans were happy in my chat.
Explain the drama, because I've missed this.
I don't know the drama. Kitty knows more, I believe.
I unfortunately know every single drama that happens in the league sphere, so let me explain for all the people back at home and for my beautiful guest and host. So KT recently had a major roster change out of nowhere with their AD carry Aiming. And the reason was, they didn't specify, but Aiming had an argument with another player. And people realize the only player that Aiming unfollowed on Instagram is BDD.
Wow.
So people think
Seven.
Aiming might have had an argument with either Aiming or I think Lucid is the other name that's been floating around. And it got really heated. Like Aiming put out an entire page of an apology on his Instagram. He went into detail of what happened. Apparently, they were really heated after a game and they threw around personal insults. And in Korea, it was like a really big deal because it's super disrespectful. I mean, it's just disrespectful in any work environment. But the coaching staff had to choose one or the other. I believe Aiming wanted to continue to coexist with the other player, which we're not supposed to know who it is.
Okay.
But the other player said they refused to play if Aiming's still on the team. So the staff decided to move on with other player. I'm assuming their star/branded player on the team, BDD. And Aiming has been exchanged with, I believe, KRX. And Skyo mentioned earlier, Jiwoo will be joining the team.
And Jiwoo, yeah.
Yeah, Jiwoo and Aiming did a switch. I believe Aiming already played a game on KRX, and that's the story. So there's been a lot of drama. Plus, I'm surprised Skyyart said that Genji might go to Worlds question mark because Genji recently hosted their home ground event and they went 0-4. 0 wins, 4 losses in 2 best of 3 series.
Does
in
Genji
their
are
home
Genji
ground.
fully washed now? Are they fully washed like over the last few months and how the results have come out?
They look shaky. They look shaky.
You wanted to say yes. You wanted to say yes.
I'm not a Genji fan, so I can speak. I'm a T1 Prime fan, so but yeah, I think they look a bit shaky, and it's gonna be tough. Shovi looked not very good on the last games compared to his maximum level, and I think like BDD, for example, is just probably one of the best, if not the best mid laner, and maybe the best player in the world. Actually, is just too good. I think BDD is just too good. So if he has an argument against Aiming, thank you, Aiming, for the work. I really enjoyed. But yeah. I mean, Fnatic maybe are looking for an AD carry. I don't know, but yeah, no.
They
Oh
can't afford
my
him.
god.
I'm on the
Yeah.
BDD side. I love BDD so much, except when he plays against a team I support, because I think he's just too good. He will go for a Yone mid, and somehow he will 1v9 every single game. If he doesn't die in team fight, he wins the team fight alone with Casio, with Yone. He's just too good at positioning in team fight. I mean, being on the edge of you think you can code him, but somehow you don't. And it just win the team fight alone. I think BDD is just, for me, the number 1 mid laner in the world. Maybe even Knight, even better than Knight. Knight is amazing. I truly think Knight is amazing, but I think he plays in LPL, and I think LPL is a bit weaker than LCK. Sorry, Kitty. But yeah. I don't remember a single game on which BDD lost the game by himself on KT roster. I think his teammates are weaker than like Faker, for example. I think Faker has better teammates, but what BDD brings to the game is just amazing. And I wish on another world, he would join a super top team just as his level of skills to see. But I think he would have been world champion for already. I believe.
What's your take, Kitty?
I mean, BDD during that World's Finals. No, okay. BDD during that Worlds, period, in 2025, just took me to the moon. Like, he is so good. He was the only reason why KT could even make that Grand Finals, in my opinion. And I think BDD on that day in that Grand Finals was deserving of that trophy. But unfortunately, his teammates didn't pull through. Peter choked too hard in that best of 5 against T1 in 2025. BDD should have a Worlds title, but it didn't happen. And KT continuing to do well into this year is taking me by surprise, but I'm not sure on how much that contributes to KT playing good or every other LCK team having a major slump. Because I know T1, Genji, the 2 top dogs of the LCK, are struggling really hard, and Life, even in the split 3, like they're getting challenged here and there as well. So it's quite the interesting topic.
Are you telling me? So when we were preparing for today, right, and we were having a conversation, you wanted to explore the idea of other regions being less consistent. I'm going to put some words in your mouth here, right? LCK and LPL are kind of looking shittier. So therefore, there's more chance for the LCS and the LEC to do well. Like,
I didn't say LCS.
That's well. Listen, Leon, like you got to admit, Lion looked pretty good. Like I got to give props where it counts here, right? What I love so much. By the way, what I love so much. You didn't say no to me implying you just called the LPL LCK a bit shit. What you said was, I don't think the LCS will do well. You cared more about that than the other angle.
I'm so triggered about Lion, but that's because Lion looked so bad at the start of MSI, I was like, oh, this Lion team's like, what is Saint doing?
Yeah.
You know, Isles, he's Australian, but he's disappointing me. Like, he's choking. But damn, they look super clean against Hanolife and G2. I'm like, okay, I eat up my words. I'm so sorry. I take it back. But back to trick shot. Oh, back to quick shots question.
I'll take that. But
Yep, back to is the LPL and LCK looking more inconsistent due to the new tournament formats plus Fearless being more and more integrated into competitive play? Okay, not more integrated, the competitive format of 2025 and 2026, where LCS and LEC are catching up. But I think the general answer is the LCS is a one-team region. People will not trust C9. Like, if C9 tells you you can fall back, they're not catching you. They're letting you drop your head and crack your skull on the floor. Don't trust C9 is what I've learned over the last 2 years. And LEC are a 1.5 team because I know Casey did really well at
you are such a hater.
But I personally think with the schedule being so tight and back to back, that there was elements of what Skyyart mentioned that Casey prepped really well. They had an upper hand at this EWC tournament, and they were also in Paris. Oh, okay, I might be capping, but I think they did arrive a tiny bit before some of the other top teams that were attending at EWC. That doesn't give them a huge advantage, but they also didn't have active games during MSI. Because they were eliminated early, they didn't make the main stage. So I don't know what Skyyart thinks about that as a KC fan and also French co-streamer.
Yeah, so, I didn't understand the last sentence. You said as they were eliminated from MSI, they had more time to prep?
So my point is that because KC was eliminated early-ish from the MSI tournament, they didn't make the main stage. They weren't under a high-stress situation during an active tournament, and that puts physical strain on people's mental, and it also puts physical strain on their just fatigue. So maybe that has elements. I also don't want to discredit KC because they did make the grand finals of EWC.
That is what you're doing.
I am. Oh, I feel so terrible. But the fact that every other team that did attend MSI did so shit at EWC, I don't know how much I can take the end series being KC-DK too legitimately. This might be a hot take, but it's just true that MSI teams didn't do really well at EWC.
Yeah. I agree with you that not being on the main stage would have helped them to, also maybe take more seriously in the EWC because they have to prove themselves. When you are you already won. EWC is, I would say, arguably less important.
They were getting paid as well, unlike a certain team.
Yeah. And so maybe it helps as well, the format BO3 as well. But I feel like Casey played way better than the MSI. I think on the MSI side, they played not really great. And I also think like Calist wasn't playing very well mages. His Ziggs was just mid. And I think on the MSI, they tried to scream and force the meta ADC that we were playing in Europe. And I think they got smashed. That's why they tried to adapt maybe 2 days or 3 days before the MSI. And it was just shit. The composition wasn't great, and I think the rotation on the map wasn't on point, and I think they were really on point on EWCs. That's why they were literally better. I think the patch for now and the meta is very favorable to the KC coaching stuff, and they really understand it well. But you never know. In the world, maybe Azir will be the best champion and it's going to switch the meta completely.
Wait, Sky, you're right. Azir is not meta and LCK is not doing super well this year. Notice?
Yeah.
One champion. That's it.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
No, but it's fine. For T1, just before the MSI, the ultimate gonna have 20-second cooldown. So no worries.
You got right on the hotline right now.
Yeah.
So
hello,
okay,
yeah.
Give me then your thoughts, right? Because like Skyyart, you talked a little bit about how you think there's a lot of teams from the LCK that could make it to Worlds. We're seeing a bit of a shuffle in the power rankings right now. And as I mentioned, I've not watched many games from summer. I've been a bit distracted. But are you expecting maybe more changes to come in? Well, it's like if you look at the tournament winners from First Stand, from MSI, from EWC, we've kind of had a wild ride, a little bit internationally. Will that continue for Worlds this year?
Me?
Yeah. Do you think we're going to continue to see these like shakes and different teams stepping up and surprises on who's representing the regions?
Yes, I think the meta has never been that much with a high variance. And I think like Riot themselves, by keeping the mages bot lane, are wanting this to happen as well. Because I think uncertainty make people more interested in League. If like T1 is just for sure the winners of the world and they will be undefeated all way long and the game will be the same every single time, people will watch less. And if it's TES winning the world, I think League of Legends is dead. But that's another point. Because I'm a TES hater. Sorry, Kitty. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan.
I don't know if there's a single alive fan right now that is still hoping that like HopEUm, So
okay, fine, fair enough. But for me, the meta has never been so adaptive, and people have different vision. And I think also Riot wants to stay like this, and I think it's very good for the game because the game are more interesting. For example, SK Gaming was going for they played Nautilus, Seraphine, AD carry bot with Twisted Fate and like a Shen top lane, like 0 damage in the composition. I hated it, but it still brings something new to the table, and I enjoy watching the game because normally at first I was thinking I will not watch SK games because I think it was one of the worst team, but somehow I enjoyed it. I enjoyed because the drafts were different, and I took a lot of pleasure watching the game actually. And it surprised me, but I liked the game more than some like Heretics teams, who was better teams I think than SK by that time. So
what I like, by the way, I'm a big fan of how the meta has been, or how the patches have evolved throughout 2025, 2026 for League, because I bring this reference up a lot, but in Dota, there's 93% presence of all of the heroes in Dota. A hero can be like a solo laner, top or mid, can be support, can be like a carry, depends on itemization, depends on, like, if everything's OP, nothing's OP, therefore every single champion's viable. And there's so much versatility, right? So I like seeing this versatility. I also like seeing worldwide, one of the trends that I came into this show wanting to just explore a little bit, of all the games that have been played, Europe currently has a 40% mage presence in the bottom lane. LPL has a 30% mage presence in the bottom lane. LCK has 16%. So, is one region right? Is there variable ways to play the game? Is the game becoming more diversified? Or is the LCK just wrong and they're going to have to play mages? Like, we're only going to find out the answer to that question later, but I want to pose it to you. Let's start, Kitty. What's your take on LPL and LEC being more mage heavy in the bottom lanes than the fact that LCK is not?
I'm pretty sure LCK recently had Diablo play Aatrox ADC in the bottom lane.
Wow, and I missed the game.
I have the reasons behind it, and I have what people have been adapting into the mage bottom lane meta, because when mages get so oppressive in the lane, people start to cook. And the counter to mages is anything with gap close and anything with kill threat early. So that's why the AD carry presence with dashes have gone up over the last week, because people realize if you just play Corki or you play Lucian, you can, number one, dash their spells or their poke and avoid their damage early or harassment early. Number two, also propose threat on the enemy solo laner in bot lane, where you can potentially 1v1 kill them on the right CD for the mage, spells. So that's the number one answer into mages. And number two, apparently people have been scrimming Aatrox, and just anything that has a dash because they just genuinely
Yeah, but that's half the
oppress
champions in the
mage.
game now.
And
Half the champions in the game have a dash
Trevor,
mobility.
before
So, like,
we even came into the split, you had Pays playing, Echo ball lane, Galio ball lane. Genuinely, the mage counters that you see in mid lane, you will also see in ball lane now. So that is why mages have kind of gone down in prio, because people are just using the history books, like the encyclopedia of what you would do in a classic mid lane matchup, and just put it in ball lane. And people have slightly adapted again. But
Sky, is the LCK right or wrong?
Actually, they tried. They already cooked a bit, I believe, during like MSI. Like for example, Zeus was the only one to pick Mundo, and I think it's just it's not the same approach exactly, but it's the same idea as Kitty said. I mean, how do you kill a Mundo when you have like a Mel and a Talia mid? It's just too hard. Once he is level 16. You can't do anything, and that's why they did against BLG 2 times. The second time, Bean took Aatrox in blind pick to block the Mundo, but he still picked Mundo. Yeah. I think it's a very bad matchup, but he somehow managed to do okay. And but I think yes, I as you said, Quickshot. I'm a huge fan of when everything is OP, nothing is OP, and I think. When you play a competitive game, player against players, it's adaptation, and they bring something new to the table. Oh, we will find a new ideas, and I think the more the game is like this, the more underdogs can win, because you can have different read on the meta, and basically it's just a brain difference. And I think introduction, but about League Classic, I think League Classic by your time, Quickshot, it was this exactly, because I mean. I was there. Europe has had a different meta than NA, and every region was thinking their meta was the best. Like just like you said, like mages in bot lane and few mages in LCK. I think it's the same idea. Every people think they are right, but in the game will separate what is the best idea, what is the worst idea, and I love it personally.
The one thing I'll add on to this is that, you know, Kitty, this is before your time because you got the two old men here. But when the map became a determining factor, when the gold from the jungle camps are experienced, when the tower gold, when lane swaps and jungle invades and jungle carries, when the map was one of the defining factors of gameplay, it forced the meta of the champions to be played in a certain way. Okay, that's, I think, the biggest difference between a game like Dota and a game like League of Legends. The map in Dota does not fundamentally impact the champions and the compositions that need to get played. Because if there is a superior way to gain experience, to farm gold, to generate a lead by like denying opponents, which is what we saw, the lane swap meta from 2014 to 2016, and then you have this, or 2015, 2016, like when you've got this like rigorous LCK style of gameplay that they can just suffocate the map, it doesn't matter what fucking champions you play, because they just play the lanes better than you, and therefore it's a PvE, not a PvP. So that's what I'm liking now. I like this variability. I love that we've got Vayne tops. I like that the jungle feels diverse. I love that the mid lanes feels like... I'm kind of excited to watch, and I'm kind of hopeful that we keep this variation. I don't want it to just settle into Aatrox, Corki, and fucking Mel as what's in the bottom lane and carries are gone. I don't want to see that happen, you know. So I'm hopeful. Skyyart, I saw you smiling when I was talking about lane swaps. Do you remember that time fondly or
yeah, I
angrily?
loved it. Was super interesting. Like having 20 minutes of the game, people just don't eat themselves, and the top lane is level 1. I loved it. I mean,
so
very
exciting.
entertaining to watch. It was the worst, I think, meta we ever had, and it was just before the World, so Riot was a bit screwed. But to me, the fact that it exists and like an underdog team can bring something to the table just before the World, I love it, because it was like Moscow 5 by that time. I lost against them because their meta was just too good. They were giving all the race to Alexish. He was just getting all the rest. So the jungle has to invade to have something to eat. And it was just an amazing gameplay to watch. Even if I get destroyed, I enjoyed a lot, and I think IDs is the best point on League. I think League is less an executional game than a brain game. I mean, when you compare to Rocket League, if a kid of 6 years old, I mean, your son in 6 years will be better than me in Rocket League, but he will maybe never come back to my level on League of Legends, because even if you train 2,000 hours, I think decision is the number one separating factor in League, more than just execution.
Yeah. I love it.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty, do you have anything to add before we move on a little bit?
Yeah, because League of Legends, I feel like it's a game that's been figured out through and through. You have these nerds on Twitter that are constantly arguing about what is the best build, the best stats that you can get to get maximum crit on X, Y, and Z, and the most profitable like team composition that you can have. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and matchups and stats don't play out the way it does. So a lot of variety and variance comes into play when it comes to League of Legends. And because it's a live 5v5 game, I just feel like there's so much unpredictability. And with the introduction of Fearless since 2 years ago, it's been really fun to watch. I'm actually really glad that Fearless has been around to this day, because it, number one, exposes all the bad coaches really badly.
Yes.
Like you can tell who's
yes.
a bad. You can tell who has not played League of Legends and they're like gold in skill. Like, girl, we don't need them game 5 matchups. Like, I don't know what the hell they're playing in game 5. They're just like, okay, so I don't know what we're gonna draw for game 5. So players, just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And
I think game 3, game 4, game 5, you get exposed a lot.
So you can separate the really bad coaches to the really good coaches, and that's where the coaching staff also adds a lot of value. Because I remember back in the day when we actually got an interview with Dylan, he genuinely said during these traditional game 5 drafts, it was literally, do you want to play the Tilia matchup or do you want to play the Syndra matchup? And they would argue about this for 5 games in a row. So which one do you want to play? It's like Tilia Syndra, Syndra Tilia. So it was so boring and so lame, but I'm so glad that we were given this variance, plus just the game being a bit more interesting these days when it comes to just macro and how creative people can get. Because I also think, like Skyyart said, experience is the most important knowledge that you can have in these games, and that's what makes Faker so strong himself.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Also, by the way, I did like such a deep dive going into MSI and EWC. I didn't understand the bot lane meta enough, right? I'm an old man. I understand engage supports, mage supports, or enchanter supports, and ADCs, right? So it's like I didn't understand the mage combos. I didn't look at the roam. So I started diving deeper into the numbers and why supports would hit level 3. Once they hit level 3, then they'll roam until around 8 or 9 minutes, because at that point, the average level of minions hits a high enough point that the catch-up XP kicks in. But it's a mechanic that is so complex. It is so convoluted. There are so many numbers involved that is annoying. It makes it very hard for a casual viewer, makes it very hard even for experienced League of Legends viewers to understand, which is why I'm not going into depth about it. But what it does do for the viewers is between 3 minutes and 8 or 9 minutes, you have 2 supports that are intentionally designed to roam the map, to make plays, to get involved in the game. It's forcing you to learn macro. It's forcing you to look for skirmishes. It makes it a more fun game. And then you combine that with Fearless, and you're like, okay, now we're seeing the Pikes, the Nautiluses are back in. You also have your Seraphine options. You have like, it's one of the best gameplay decisions that, look, it still forces the player's hands. The optimal way to play support is to hit level 3, then to roam for 5 minutes, then to play catch-up XP. That routine won't change. That does mean that unless you can find a way to abuse that system, that is the only way to play support right now on this patch. But I like that way.
Only way. I'm not sure it's I'm not sure it's the only way, because if you can have a way to dive bot lane, I think it's fine. It's just against Ziggs, you just can't dive him because he just E and go AFK and there is no wave.
But then that means it's the only way, right? So
no, because when the game goes to game 4, game 5, or game 3, I think it's not the only way.
Yes.
Like Lucian Milio, you know, don't feed Gumayusi. You will regret it. So I think it's not the only way. And I think I like the fact that catch-up SP is a thing. But I think also I don't think we have the formula, the exact formula. So it's very hard, even for good players, to understand exactly how much you win XP. But I think it's very interesting to find way to abuse the game. It's just in League of Legends, Riot can just change the meta in just two patches. They can just say minions have 50% reduction against magic damage, and there will be no mage bot lane. So basically, metas can change in a second, and I like that the fact that now they try to let more time to the people to find their own adjustment. I mean, now they keep the mage bot lane to let people try to think in what are we going to do to counter this, and I love it. I think it's very nice. And also about tournaments, they open tournament now to everyone. I think now Riot Games are becoming more and more open, co-streaming, open tournaments, open meta, and I like it. I like it because like for 10 years it was very 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 control, like super control, and right now I like it.
I feel like something that League of Legends players don't take into consideration and appreciate enough is something that I saw from other gaming communities. They said, League of Legends players don't know how good they have it with how transparent Riot Games is with every single League of Legends patch. They genuinely listen to the community's feedback, and they will change the game depending on how the community complains about it on social media. You have Case One, you have Froxon, who is actively communicating with the community on X, and you also have Drew Levin, who is also making the product as best as it can be, because the freaking Overwatch players, like, imagine if we had this for Overwatch.
Job. It is a completely thankless job. Look, I'm, once you reach a certain age and you look at the wider market and you go, okay, what are other developers doing? What are other games doing? It is amazing the amount of conversation and dialogue that Riot does do with a game. It has to be celebrated. It is also an incredibly tough job because the faces of the game that have these conversations, like the amount of just bullshit that they have to deal with when they're trying to do something good. I'm not even going to go into names. I don't need to, but there are a number of other developers that have released like big patches and changes mid-tournament for big fucking tournaments. Like, it's wild to me that some of these developers can look at like multi-million-dollar tournaments where teams are investing hundreds of thousands of dollars and euros and like, we don't care. We'll put the patch on Saturday. And you're like, we're in playoffs? We're going for quarters or semis? Anyways. I love the conversation for today, but I do want to move us on because we do have a little bit of a time limit. Let's move on to our preview. And I want to ask everybody what they're going to be doing for week number 3 of the LEC. We've got another 4 days. We've got more best of 3s coming up. I have the schedule that we'll bring up on screen in just a moment or two. And I want to get predictions. So I'm going to start with this, right? When I look at the predictions or when I look at the schedule, let's maybe zoom in and make this a little easier to read. Does this work that way? That's good. I am hopeful that Fnatic and SK are going to look stronger and look better, right? Fnatic against Heretics, Fnatic against KC does 2 things for me. I'm hoping to see Fnatic actually look competitive against KC, because if they do, they become a potential contender in my mind when we look ahead. Secondly, SK against Na'Vi, SK against Vitality, are they actually middle of the table or are they actually just bottom 4? Those are the 2 matches that I'm looking at. Obviously, top of the table teams are exciting to watch. I'm interested to see how they do. But those are the 2 teams that have the biggest question marks in my mind. SK, Na'Vi, Fnatic, and those are the games that I'm most looking forward to. Skyyart, which ones are you most looking forward to?
I think I'm hyped about G2 against Navy. I think you leave the train about Navy, but I think they didn't play that bad against KC. They just getting out skilled by the level of the players. I think they just have weaker players, so I think G2 Navy gonna be a very nice game. I think. I think G2 Heretics is gonna be nice because it's gonna be a speed run. I wonder. I want to see if they can win faster than T1 against Mad Lion.
G2 sometimes plays to their level of the enemy.
What do you know? What do you know? Are you leaking? Yeah.
We've seen G2 lose to LR before. Come on, Academy team.
Yeah, we never know, but I think it's gonna be fine, to be honest.
Kitty, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking at the schedule really quickly. First of all, as a newer LEC watcher, I'm very tweaked out by the 4-day in a row for LEC. Weird. I think that's new for Split 3. It's a lot of games. LPL used to have 7 games a week, which is crazy, but now they reduced it to 5
Wow.
games, and I think LCK is 4 to 5 days a week as well. So now LEC is like pretty packed as well. So there's a lot of League of Legends.
I mean,
after
one small thing to
EWC2.
add. One small thing to add. The Monday games have been a thing for most of this year. I actually really hate the Monday games because there's no audience, and like it's even as the smallest, it's tough to watch. It feels like a library, and I'm like,
Trevor,
it makes
you
me
go to
sad.
the arena and you go like do the
I would love to. I could make enough noise. I could make enough noise to annoy. But what I do like, as a newer, focused LEC viewer, which games are you looking forward to this weekend, Kitty?
I want to watch MKOI versus GX. I want to see these two teams throw shit to the wall and see which one sticks, because MKOI is a complete dumpster fire for Split 3. I don't even know if they're going to go to Worlds, to be honest. There's 3 spots at Worlds.
Ooh.
Seed 1 and Seed 2 get to go into Swiss. Seed 3, they have to go through play-ins or something. They have an extra step to get to that Swiss stage. And I don't know if MKOI can even get to that 3rd seed. They are looking rough. And GX, I mean, they've only played 1 series so far, but I think GX can still provide a bit more material behind what they showed us earlier this week against, I believe it was SK.
You're jumping on the GX hype train.
I'm
sold my
not
Navi
jumping
tickets.
on the. Okay, no,
Listen,
Trevor.
I've sold my tickets. I'm on board the Fnatic hype train. Let me put it this way. Okay, these are my hopefuls. I would like to see one of the bottom 4 teams surprise and cause some trouble. I'd like to see things shaken up, and I'm kind of with you that I think Fnatic or GX have maybe SK have a better chance of surprising than Shifters or Heretics.
No, Trevor. I'm not surprised. I don't want to see who does better. I want to see who does worse. I'm a true hate watcher going into GX versus MKOI. I want to see which team gives me more entertainment. I watch LEC for entertainment. That's why the LEC, the E stands for entertainment. So that's the series that I'll be looking out for in the upcoming week.
I got a final question then. Skyyart. Let me do this before you jump in here. I like what Kitty said. She gave a prediction. Koi's not even going to make Worlds. Which 3rd team makes Worlds? We're all going to assume KC and G2 do. I think that's obvious. I don't think there'll be any arguments.
Yeah.
So Skyyart, who is your 3rd team right now that makes it to Worlds?
Actually, it's very tough because I don't think Vitality is looking that good, but I think Koi they have an amazing power. They can always, when they have 5k reds, they have in a 50-50 position. So I think it's impressive how much they are throwing. And I don't think if the coaching staff do that job enough well, they will be able to come back. So I will go for the Vitality. Because I think Vitality isn't that great, but I don't even know how it's possible that Yoya doesn't lose his hair. I was thinking it would be bald by that time, because if I'm him and I press tab action,
will Yoya rather go bald or play with the rest of the MKOI players?
I would go bald.
Yeah,
I would go bald. I see he will lose all his hair. Yoya will lose all his hair.
He's gonna lose his hair either way.
Knock on Fiesta. Let's see what happens. Okay, Kitty, who's your 3rd team that makes it there?
Who's my 3rd team? I think MKOI are unfortunately the top esports of the LEC, where they will make every international, but they will just embarrass themselves at every single international. And it's been the case since their 1647, before they even branded to MKOI. They were Mad Lions back in the day.
Yeah.
Who would be my 3rd seed? I don't think Na'Vi have that oomph behind them to push them to the 3rd seed. So unfortunately, I think the only answer here is MKOI. Vitality should never be trusted. I came into this podcast saying that Vitality and GX should never be trusted, and I stand by this opinion. And Quickshot, I remember you saying, oh no, it was hysterics. He really wanted Vitality to do well.
So badly.
Guess what? They came first.
So bad. Do you know what I love? Not only did they come first, because I remember this as well, because you and I argued with him. He was so hyped on Vitality, and I said they were going to shit the bed, and I never got to rub it in his face, because they did. They absolutely bombed in playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was
I was a true hater of Vitality during playoff, but I never thought that Koi could be that bad. Basically, they are not that good. I mean, they are throwing so much. The game seems to be so easy, and somehow like Jojo Pyun without flash is going in front of a nanny and getting stunned by caps by a Q. I don't even know how it's possible. During the game G2 Koi with Rice, he was hinting so hard. Mirin was hinting so hard. Supa was looking very bad. I think I said Supa was a good player. I'm now doubting because I mean there is no competition against Ansama and Kalis right now. I think Kalis is for sure the best on mages and on Sama, sorry. But I think Victor also is I think Victor is OP. To me, Victor is too strong. And they had an amazing idea about Supa going Akali bot lane for sure. Was a very, very tough situation for Ansama because I think it's a very complex side laning, I would say. But yeah, to me, Koi can lose to anybody and not be in playoff. I agree with you, Quickshot. I think they can lose to nearly anybody.
I think the big one for me, I really also feel weird saying this. I am also leaning Vitality, but because of the week 1 matchup, Vitality Koi, the fact that Vitality won that, and then seeing Koi over the last week as well, I just have less faith. I just have less faith, less confidence. And with all of the conversations on the drama around Mirwin, the top laner, the coaches talking about substitutions and player changes, motivation, like something's just not right there. So I'm going to go Vitality. I would actually love if neither of them did. I would love it if there was a surprise. If somehow a Giant X, an SK, a Navi, a Fnatic, if someone else joined and really shocked, that would be awesome. I just haven't seen enough games. So right now I'm probably going to lean Vitality. And I also wouldn't be surprised if everyone else sucks and Koi still get their third. Doesn't matter. We're 2-team region. That's all that matters. Right. Let's start to say our goodbyes. Let's start to look forward. Kitty, what does the rest of the week look like? And what streams are you going to be kicking off soon?
Hello everyone, my beautiful viewers. I'm going to be co-streaming the LPL and LCP in the upcoming week, and hopefully the exciting LCK matches since we have a lot of tips and downies over there. So I will be live every single day on twitch.tv/KIITTWI, and I'll see you guys there.
Skyyart, same thing, go.
I would cast the best LEC game, LCK as well. I would play League Classic, League of Legends Classic. I enjoyed it with old friends. It's like the grandpa games, and we really enjoy it. It's very fun, and I will be on the Skyyart. You have the
one of the things that I love. You mentioned it earlier, and you're so humble about it. When you, as a competitive professional player, competed against the best in the world. You played against Alex Sich, Moscow 5. You know,
I got smashed.
The SK gets, it's irrelevant. Listen,
Not everyone gets smashed by them. Not
Dude,
everyone.
I'm trying to give you
chance.
You were good enough to be in the league, okay? You were good enough to compete. I had such a pleasure casting you back in the day, and it's such a pleasure chatting to you today and being the old man on the show. Skyyart, Kitty, it made me very happy to speak to you today. I'm going to say goodbye to you. I will see
and again, congrats for your new birth. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Yes, you just joined.
Congratulations.
I'm a father. I think my wife is probably listening. I didn't tell her I was going to say that on air. But anyways, goodbye, Kitty. Goodbye, Skyyart.
Ciao.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever in the world you did so. Let us know in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube or any other social media. Who is your third team to make Worlds? We think it's KC and G2 pretty much locked. Who is your third team? As a reminder, if you're not following the channels, please do drop a follow. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. It is a lot of fun bringing you these episodes. And for the rest of summer, we'll be back every single Tuesday. I should be back every single Tuesday as well. As Skyyart mentioned just a second ago, yes, if you've done some math, I am a dad. We haven't said it publicly on public media and stuff. And Becca, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But anyways, it was really, really fun having a chat again with Kitty and Skyyart. And that does mean because we're back, we want to get back into the prediction games. I challenge you to do better than me in predictions. So we're going to take a look at the Winamax-ing predictions. I've given you my scores for next week, okay? I'm going to have some fun with this. Shifters over GX Fnatic, over Heretics, Navi taking down SK. I'm going to give them some hope. I don't think they're good enough to be G2, but you can see my scores on screen. If you think you can do better than me, but as a community, head over to the G2 Discord. Throughout the course of the weekend, we're going to have the polls going up every day talking about the matches, and I want to see whether or not you do better than me. So next week on Tuesday, when we have another episode of HopEUm, we'll check in on what the community has been voting, we'll check in on what my predictions were, and we'll see who did better. Then I'll make Kitty do it for the following week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was an absolute pleasure. It was great speaking to all of you. We're going to bail for now, and then I'll see, hopefully, all of you next Tuesday. Goodbye from HopEUm and the crew.